28 killed in Pahalgam terror strikes. Families from south of India caught in the carnage. Madras High Court upholds ED raids at Tasmac, dismissing the state's plea to declare them illegal. Over 200 members of Karnataka were detained and allegedly manhandled by police while protesting for their rights, as they are specially abled in Chennai. This is really not about South India. You're watching the South Indian. This is about all of us. But I'm going to put a prism of South India on the terrible, dastardly act in Pahalgam. That's the story. South India's hour of despair in Pahalgam. A scenic meadow turned into a killing field soaked in the blood of innocents. On Tuesday afternoon in the upper reaches of Pahalgam's Besseran meadows, terrorists opened fire on innocent tourists. At least 28 people are feared dead, including 2 foreign nationals, and among them families who wanted to view what is called paradise on earth. Let's first take a look at the ground report from the terror attack site, filed by my colleague Irfan Qureshi.
और लगातार अनंतनाग के जीएमसी अस्पताल से लेकर पहलगाम का जो पूरा ये रूट है, यहाँ से हम रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हैं और पल पल की खबर दे रहे हैं। देश के गृह मंत्री अमित शाह घाटी में कल से ही मौजूद थे। श्रीनगर में उन्होंने राजभवन में बैठक की, सुरक्षा का जायजा लिया। उसके बाद वो साउथ कश्मीर के अनंतनाग पहुंचे, जहां वो सीधे बाइसेरा मीडोज, जहां पर आतंकियों ने पर्यटकों पर हमला किया, वहां पहुंचे, वहां जायजा लिया पूरे सूरत हाल का, किस तरह ये आतंकी वारदात अंजाम दी गई है। वहां वो चॉपर से पहुंचे, क्योंकि ठीक आप देख सकते हैं ये बैरिकेडिंग है लगातार अनंतनाग केपी रोड से यहां तक जो पहलगाम का यहाँ एंट्री पॉइंट है, यहाँ से ही ये पहाड़ियाँ सीधे शुरू हो जाती हैं। इन्हीं पहाड़ियों से ठीक थोड़ा सा आगे होते हुए बैसरा इलाके में पहुंचते हैं पर्यटक, जहां पर वो सैर सपाटे के लिए जाते हैं और आतंकियों ने उन्हें वहां पर सॉफ्ट टारगेट बनाया। ये देख सकते हैं बैरिकेडिंग, यहाँ लगातार बड़ी तादाद जो सीआरपीएफ पुलिस के जवानों की मौजूद है। कल रात से ही जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस और सीआरपीएफ के जवान यहाँ पर मौजूद है। सबसे पहले कोशिश पुलिस की थी कि जो पर्यटक है उन्हें सेफली इस इलाके से निकाला जाए, और जगह जगह पर एसएसबी, सीआरपी और सेना के जवान इसी तरह सतर्क है और कोशिश ये है कि इस पूरे इलाके को शांत रखा जाए।
In Delhi, Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal's wife bid her deceased husband an emotional farewell, a woman who was barely married for a fortnight, and her husband Vinay, who was killed in the Pahalgam terror attack. A scene which will remain etched in our minds forever. Security has been tightened along the Anantnag National Highway. Alert issued following recent terror threats. Let's take a look at this ground report.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकी हमले के बाद सुरक्षा बल से अलर्ट है। लगातार कॉम्बिंग एंड सर्च ऑपरेशन चल रहा है ताकि जल्द से जल्द इन आतंकियों की धरपकड़ की जा सके जिन्होंने एक कायराना हरकत की है। पूरा देश गुस्से में है। तस्वीरों में आप देख सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस के स्पेशल ऑपरेशन ग्रुप के जवान जो है वो यहां पर तैनात किए गए हैं। हर जगह एक्स्ट्रा चेकिंग पॉइंट्स लगाए गए हैं ताकि इस इलाके में आगे की तरफ कोई भी गाड़ी जो है वो ना जा सके। लगातार सुरक्षा बलों की तरफ से कोशिश की जा रही है उन कायर आतंकियों की धरपकड़ की जा सके जिन्होंने इस तरीके से कायराना हरकत की है। जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस, भारतीय सेना, सीआरपीएफ के विशेष कमांडोज लगातार ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दे रहे हैं। लगातार हर एक जो इलाका है उसको छान मार रहे हैं ताकि इन आतंकियों की धरपकड़ की जा सके।
The Resistance Front, a rogue proxy of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, has claimed responsibility for the dastardly act. The attack unfolded while Prime Minister Modi was in Saudi Arabia and US Vice President Vance was visiting India. In response, Prime Minister Modi cut short his visit and was briefed mid-air and will chair a high-level cabinet committee on security meeting at 6 p.m. dot this evening. Home Minister Amit Shah visited the attack site as forces continue intense search operations in the forested region. Over a dozen drones and multiple helicopters are scanning the terrain. Special forces and additional RR columns are also on ground. And all-terrain vehicles have been rushed in from Srinagar, their biggest hurdle, a crumbling 3-kilometer road to the attack site. As per intel sources, 42 terrorist launch pads are currently active in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Of these, 30 to 35 are positioned close to Kashmir, while the rest are scattered in other sectors. Around 100 to 125 terrorists are reportedly ready to infiltrate via the line of control and international border. 70 to 75 infiltrators are believed to be targeting entry into the Kashmir Valley. Meanwhile, 115 Pakistani terrorists are already active within Kashmir and the surrounding regions. This was not just an attack on Kashmir. It was an attack on the soul of India, the screams of which have pierced through several South Indian states to its core. From Kochi to Hyderabad, from Bengaluru to Chennai, the victims and survivors of this terrorist attacks have been impacted for life. In Kochi, 62-year-old Ramachandran was gunned down in front of his daughter and grandsons. In Hyderabad, Intelligence Bureau officer Manish Ranjan was shot dead in front of his wife and children, part of a group touring with other IB families. Reports are suggesting that their itinerary was leaked, raising serious questions about an intel failure and perhaps an insider tip-off. In Karnataka, Chief Minister Siddaramaiah confirmed that over 40 Kannadigas, tourists, are stranded in Kashmir and ordered a special flight to bring them back to safety. Karnataka Chief Minister also called the attack an intel failure of central agencies. Listen in.
ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿ ನಡೆದಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಈ ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿಯನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ತೀವ್ರವಾಗಿ ಖಂಡಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೈಲೂರ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೈಲೂರ್ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಇದು ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂದೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಪುಲ್ವಾಮಾ ಇದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿ ಆಗಿದೆ.
47-year-old Manjunath Rao, a resident of Shivamoga, was on vacation with his wife Pallavi and their 18-year-old son when militants opened fire and killed Manjunath. My colleague Kabir Naqvi spoke to Ashwin, brother-in-law of Manjunath. Listen in.
Manjunath he was popular as Manjana, as you said, and the entire family, not only family, relatives, friends, everyone around here are in deep sorrow. And I have no words to express what is happening around in our family. All are in a great shock, and not only our family, they are all consoling us. The update is that it may take off from New Delhi at 6 p.m. today, and after reaching the Bangalore airport, maybe tomorrow morning we will receive the mortals. First of all, we could not believe no more actually, and it is hard to believe that he is no more. Still we are not able to believe that he no longer exists, but we have to accept the harsh reality now. I am wordless to express my feelings, sir. I messaged him all the best and be safe in your trip, okay. And later my mother-in-law, she was in constant touch with Manjunath every day. Every day he was briefing what happened that day, and even the previous night also he told that to my mother-in-law that we are visiting Pahalgam and there may be network issues where there may not be able to connect to you later. That was the the conversation with my mother-in-law and Manjunath. We were in constant touch with my mother-in-law, that is Manjunath sir's mother, since there was only one number with the roaming facility there.
And of course there were others. Bharat Bhushan, a 41-year-old diagnostic technician from Karnataka, and also Madhusudan from Bengaluru. My colleague Mohammad Wajiullah spoke to friends of Bharat Bhushan. Take a look.
Sir, firstly, your thoughts on what happened and how do you remember your friend?
Oh, we remember him very, very fondly. Bhushan was a very gentle person.
He was basically a no-nonsense guy. He used to keep to himself, and he was very mixing very well with everybody. And we were all grown together, having a lot of good memories, fond memories. And it is very unfortunate that we have lost him in this manner.
Sir, and also his wife is there. What is the condition over there? If you could tell me.
She's safe, and I think she's also in safe hands. And today morning, Bhushan's elder brother Preetham has reached there. He left yesterday night. We all were together with him at the airport, and he reached at around 7:45 in the morning. But yesterday night itself, I think due to some of the family friends of Bhushan who got connected, and they were moved to a defense personnel's house yesterday night. So they are safe, and obviously can't say that they're okay, but at least they are safe. That's all we can say.
In a time like this, where there's only grief, there's sorrow. Your friend, we saw his video also, last video where he was speaking with his wife. Happily he was explaining how happy he is. How do you've known him for a lot of years?
I've known him from at least 3 decades, and he's been a very soft-spoken person, very gentle person. It's like we all see that. I mean, why Bhushan? Our question is why Bhushan? He's not of that caliber who should have a name like this. Very unfortunate.
Meanwhile, in Tamil Nadu, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin called the attack barbaric, even as the Tamil Nadu Assembly observed 2 minutes silence. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan confirmed 1 dead from the state and others missing, and pledged all help to the impacted families. Meanwhile, in Telangana, security has been tightened at key locations, railway stations, airports and public hubs are under watch. Pawan Kalyan's Janasena party has declared 3 days of mourning. Party flags fly at half-mast across Andhra and Telangana. Pictures on your screen of the dastardly act on one side, on the other, this is an exclusive. The faces of those who perpetrated this crime, this dastardly act, impacting the soul of the nation, answerable to millions and millions of people. Those are the pictures. What is India's response in motion? Here's a look. Diplomatic staff may be withdrawn from Islamabad. Pakistani intelligence operatives in Delhi may face expulsion. India is even considering halting all visas for Pakistani nationals and suspending the Kartarpur. The landmark Indus Water Treaty could be put on hold for the first time in decades. India plans to brief global powers, including the P5 nations, and show them the faces of the victims and the cost of terror. There's talk of ending Wagah border ceremonies, even shutting down trade, direct and via third country. Holidays which turned to horror. Friends, family members, intelligence officers struck down in a place meant for peace. Even as the nation prepares its response, the south of India is watching and very keen. With mourning hearts and unblinking resolve, let's listen to some of the voices from the south of India, and then I go to my colleague Mohammad Wajiullah.
जो टेररिस्ट अटैक किया है, हम व्यक्तिगत मैं बिल्कुल खंडन कर रहा हूँ। इस विषय पर सारी दुनिया भी एक साथ है हम जो शहीद हो गया उनको श्रद्धांजलि समर्पित करता हूँ और भारत सरकार के ओर से आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में जितने भी लोग शहीद हो गए उनके परिवारों के लिए हम कंडोलेंस व्यक्त करते हुए उनको पूरा देखभाल करने का जिम्मेदारी हम लेंगे।
It is very shocking and unfortunate. The central government has to investigate which forces are behind this. Whether it is the Pakistan government or the ISI or any terrorist organizations in Pakistan or in India, and anybody supported this terrorist to do this thing. This is an attack against the nation. Attack against the nation.
ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿ ನಡೆದಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಈ ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿಯನ್ನ ಬಹಳ ತೀವ್ರವಾಗಿ ಖಂಡಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೇಲ್ಯೂರ್ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಇದು ಇಂಟೆಲಿಜೆನ್ಸ್ ಫೇಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಿಂದೆನೂ ಕೂಡ ಪುಲಾಮ ಇದಾಗಿತ್ತು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉಗ್ರರ ದಾಳಿ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Sir, firstly, your thoughts on what happened and how do you remember your friend?
We remember him very, very fondly. Bhushan was a very gentle person.
He was basically a no-nonsense guy. He used to keep to himself, and he was mixing very well with everybody, and we were all grown together, having a lot of good memories, fond memories. And it is very unfortunate that we have lost him in this manner.
And also his wife is there. What is the condition over there? If you could tell me.
She's safe, and I think she's also in safe hands. And today morning, Bhushan's elder brother Pritham has reached there. He left yesterday night. We all were together with him at the airport, and he reached at around 7:45 in the morning. But yesterday night itself, I think due to some of the family friends of Bhushan who got connected, and they were moved to a defense personnel's house yesterday night, so they are safe. And obviously can't say that they are okay, but at least they are safe. That's all we can say.
In a time like this, where there's only grief, there's sorrow. Your friend, we saw his video also, last video where he was speaking with his wife. Happily he was explaining how happy he is. How do you've known him for a lot of years?
I've known him from at least 3 decades, and he's been a very soft-spoken person, very gentle person. It's like we all see that. Why Bhushan? Our question is why Bhushan? He's not of that caliber who should have a name like this. Very unfortunate.
Why Bhushan? That's what everyone is asking, and on your screens right now, Lieutenant Narwal's wife, newly married, look at her, those tears, that despair. Just listen in, and then I will tell you and ask you that question, was it an Intel failure or not? Take a look. I'm taking a break after this terrible visual which sears through our heart and soul.
We should all be proud of him in every way. In every way.
That young woman collapsing on the coffin of her deceased husband, that is something which we will never forget. And the one question which is obsessing me at least is, was it an Intel failure or not really? We'll have 2 experts weighing in on this, but I'm taking a break. You're watching the South Indian. Don't go anywhere.
News 9 Corporate Badminton Championships in collaboration with Pullela Gopichand Badminton Foundation is here for all of you to experience the passion and network. This is a great opportunity to experience your childhood memories and also be part of a corporate event which enhances sportsman spirit in all of us. Wishing you all the best and hope to see you here.
Presenting sponsor, Srinidhi University. Kindle the light within. Venue partner, Pullala Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad.
What a save! What a save! I need expert savings. I need my career.
Bharat welcomes the world to a new era of creativity. Waves, World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit. Connecting creators through Creative Sphere. Wave Accelerator. Waves Bazaar.
Where stories, ideas and content go global.
Connecting countries through global media dialogue and Bharat Pavilion.
Shaping narratives and partnerships. Culture, cinema, gaming. Waves fuels the next wave of entertainment.
Connecting creators, connecting countries. Waves 2025.
What is to the nines? In literal terms, it's perfection. But to us, it's not just a phrase, it's an attitude. One that starts at your desk and sends a statement to the world. To the nines is about taking charge. It's a way of life where every seam, every fold, is crafted with excellence. It's timeless elegance and uncompromising quality made for the corner office. It's the ideas that inspire redefining order and elevating the tabletop. To the nines, for the leaders of today and the visionaries of tomorrow.
You're watching the South Indian. Our story, of course, like much of the nation which is in mourning, is about the dastardly killings in Pahalgam. Was it an intel failure where we lost 28 people? Is it for us to do politics right now or actually find reasons so that we avert such attacks in the future? Joining me to talk about whether or not it was an intel failure without really getting into the politics of it is Major Amit Bansal, retired defense strategy expert. I shall also be joined by another expert, Dr. Abhinav Pandya, terrorism and radicalization expert, in a bit. Major Bansal, welcome. It's a very, very sad day, of course. Major Bansal, like I said, without, I don't want to do politics over dead bodies, and I pretty much, men in uniform never ever do that. But, since Pulwama, this is one of the biggest, deadliest, dastardly attacks. Look at the way it's been orchestrated. Do you think that this could have been possible unless there were chinks in the armor of intel, Major Bansal?
So Sudha, when I talk about intelligence failure,
yes,
we see the entire history of Jammu and Kashmir and all the attacks. Tourists have never been attacked in such a manner ever, even when the terrorism was at its peak. When you're talking about the intelligence, you have to talk about the topography, you have to talk about the area, you have to talk about the possible threat perception. So this was a case where nobody could ever imagine that terrorists could launch an attack on the tourists. Second is the area. Pahalgam has been a relatively peaceful area where there has not been any terror incident in past several decades. There was no active terrorist group in this area for several decades. So when you talk about these factors, of course, your requirement for intelligence from this area becomes quite less. Second factor is that when you're talking about various sources of intelligence, we have got electronic means, we have got human intelligence. So area again, once again, it was devoid of all the villages. It was totally barren hills. No people were staying in these areas. So getting human intelligence also becomes difficult.
Right. Major Major Bansal, go ahead.
Let me complete. So when you're talking about the threat perception, the three points I talk about: threat perception, the past history of the terror incidents, and the roadblocks in obtaining human intelligence as well as the electronic intelligence due to the forest or own. So
Major Bansal, but apparently the terrorists were apparently doing recce. They're wrecking the place, a couple of weeks back. The intel agencies knew about it. Could it be, because you've listed out peaceful decades, no act was, ever performed there. Could it be that it's an intelligence failure because no one acted on these hints? Let's not forget Kargil, sir. I mean, intelligence is supposed to be super alert. They are supposed to be almost like, anything suspicious beyond super suspicious. How come a recce was done and the intel agencies people that this is quite possible, Major Bansal.
I'm with you, but when you're talking about the area, it's got such a huge footfall of the tourists that who's coming, who's not coming. There are a lot of people from the rest of the Kashmir who are coming here in the search of jobs as a guide or as a pony operators. So it is very difficult to segregate a person who's coming from any other area to be a potential guy carrying out a recce or a terrorist or a guy who's just come in search of a job. So again, when I'm talking about this, I'm not denying, yes, there has been some kind of failure, there has been some kind of ignorance on the part of the intelligence agencies, but you cannot blame totally on them for the intelligence failure because of the various factors which I listed out. Yes, there has been ignorance, there has been factors which could have been avoided. Yes, agencies could have been more alert had they got any kind of heads off in the past. They got to know later on that recce was carried out, post-incident. But prior to that, they had no idea that recce was carried out. Had they knew about it, so things would have been different by now. Have faith in the Indian forces. They are capable of handling the situation.
There are no doubts about it. But then we also cannot forget that 28 people are dead. I mean, any terror attack, there are human lives lost and there is trauma for life. It is something that, you see, it's about trust, Major Bansal. I trust you because you are one of us. You save us. You protect me. You see that I'm secure. Somewhere that trust also shifts because apparently IB and RAW, they were working non-stop, like it's their job to do. They did gather inputs about militant movement, in Pahalgam. The system was working indeed, but what about the execution? I mean, action fell short. Please, I'm not trying to apportion blame, Major Bansal, but today I am on the side of that woman who fell on the coffin of her husband, cried her heart out and in the end said, Jai Hind. We are answerable to her, Major Bansal, or to several other people they've lost their husband. The children are traumatized for life, Major Bansal. RAW and IB picked up some suspicious activity. They knew, but apparently, is it possible, Major Bansal, that we know, but we did not act upon it?
No, ma'am, it is not possible. Had we known about it, we would have acted definitely. I know I've got a long experience of serving in Kashmir. I have been in touch with all the people on the ground. Had security agencies got a tip of that, yes, such kind of things is even possible, like even a slightest of hint would have been given to them, things would have been different by now. They have been able to save Kashmir in the past also. And post abrogation of Article 317 2019, you see the way things were returning to the normalcy. But yes, in past 2 years, as the influx of the terrorists from the outside, from the Pakistan has been more, things are becoming a little difficult. But the more and more we are emphasizing that, I would like to emphasize on the point that nowhere in the past the tourists were attacked. It has never happened in the past.
Right.
There's not been the trend of the terrorism. So nobody could ever imagine that they could even attack the tourists.
No, but I've seen civilians, I mean, I'm sorry, but civilians could be attacked. The point is, Kashmir is a very sensitive area. It's a terrain which, gives us some kind of a confidence sometimes and then falls into an abyss. So I just think that there could have been, this is what I would ask, the people, this country today, that I've lost so and so. Where is the answer? Dr. Abhinav Pandya has also joined us. He's a terrorism and radicalization expert. Dr. Pandya, thank you so much for making the time. Dr. Pandya, like I said, the disclaimer is, or rather the condition is, and I'm not going to politicize it. I'm for the people who've lost, their near and dear ones. I want to ask you, Dr. Pandya, would you say, there are some claims, this is one of the biggest attacks after Pulwama. Is it well orchestrated, coinciding with the visit of J.D. Vance? It's about, in an area which is called Mini Switzerland. Apparently, the terrorists were wrecking the entire area. IB was working, RAW was working, had an inkling that there could be some movement there. Maybe we failed in execution, Dr. Pandya. Do you think that could be one of the reasons, sir?
Thank you very much for inviting me. Well, I think that certainly, we cannot deny the possibility of a security lapse, and I guess, we should be frank enough to admit it. Well, as a brief backgrounder, I would like to say that, the Indian state, the Indian state, which includes your diplomats, your politicians, and your intelligence agency. Over the last 75 years, They have failed to understand the Kashmir problem in terms of its ideological roots and, in terms of its a very widespread networking. Particularly after the abrogation of Article 370, Pakistan changed its entire strategy of militancy. They improvised it, they innovated it. But we more or less continue to do the same. We could not strategy. And until recently, we have a very bad human presence out there. Currently, the presence and the penetration among the people, which leads to good intelligence, that is lacking. And I guess here it must be said that certainly there was a lapse on the part of the state.
Right. Before I let you go, Major Bansal, I want to just ask you that, like Dr. Pandya said, that yes, there has been a lapse. I don't want you to agree with him because you've said very clearly that, no, I don't agree with that. But don't you think one of the major problems, Major Bansal, is that how locals get co-opted into this? They could be guides. I'm not blaming my Kashmiri, brothers and sisters, but I'm saying locals, guides, people who do other things, run small outfits. It could have been possible without local help, Major Bansal. Would you agree on that?
Yes, I agree on that. See, there are two things. Once we spoke about the intelligence labs, which I said it's not totally wrong, but I said that there have been ignorance on the intelligence. Second, talk about is the local help. No terror attack is possible without the local help, and in this case also locals were involved. So I've been telling time and again that when we are when we have to handle these kind of so-called overground workers and so-called helpers of the terror, we need to take them with an iron fist. It is must, because without the support of locals, see, these terrorists could have not reached this meadow unless they were supported by some of the locals.
Yes.
And without that, it's just not possible. You see other incidents, you see Pulwama, locals were involved, you see Riyasi, you see past incidents in Kathua, even in Kishtwar, wherever the incidents have taken place, locals have been involved.
And also an IB officer dies, my heart goes out.
IB officer died, a naval officer died.
Yeah, come on. A naval, okay, but a naval is very unfortunate, extremely sad. But an IB officer? Today we'll sit and think about it, and how can, anyone who says it's not an intel failure, I think is just having a dream and flying a kite. Not in the sky, but elsewhere.
You are taking it wrong. You are taking it wrong. See, IB officer was, about 2,000 to 3,000 people were present in that meadow, out of which there was an IB officer, there was a naval officer, there was an Air Force corporal who died, and there were other people also from different kind of professions.
Dr. Pandya.
So, yes, Dr. Pandya, you can answer it.
Yeah, don't you think that because of the IB officer, I would think, I kind of fell off my chair because I thought, how did anyone know about that? And it was a group tour.
Well, see, look at the way it was being orchestrated. See, it was a tourist place. Generally, militants, when we worked in Kashmir, and normally anyone who is familiar with the militancy terrain in Kashmir would know that generally terrorists would avoid such public places. They would think at least twice before coming to such public open tourist places. Now, if this thing has happened, certainly they must have had a proper real-time intelligence of that area, this is something of which about which some real known Kashmir hands were giving inputs for a very, very long time.
Okay.
And let me tell you, in Kashmir, after the abrogation of Article 370, I'm talking about the general people, among the common masses, this very intense Islamist radical ideology, particularly the presence of the ideological roots of Muslim Brotherhood and Jamaat-e-Islami that is spreading. So the local involvement was certainly there. And at a strategic level, I would like to emphasize that government of India, after the abrogation of Article 370, continued mentioning that development is the Kashmir's problem, but Kashmir's problem is Islamist radicalization. And Pakistan changed its strategy. They created new kind of terrorist outfits, which looked like local outfits. But what was our response? Send more tourists, more tourism, more development package. We completely failed to work on the fronts like intelligence collection, on the fronts like...
Very strong words there. Very strong words by Dr. Abhinav Pandya. Thank you very much for joining us. Major Amit Bansal, many thanks, sir, for making the time to join the South Indian. All right, I'm going to take a break, but when I come back, we're going to talk about Tasmac and what the court said. Don't go away, you're watching the South Indian on News 9.
idea cool. ये एयर कंडीशनर नहीं, AI कंडीशनर है.
Smash your way to glory at the News 9 Corporate Badminton Championship. Get ready for the ultimate badminton showdown. News 9 presents the biggest corporate championship, a battle of skill, speed and supremacy. Cash prize of 6 lakh rupees across categories. Venue, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad. Dates, May 9th to May 11th. A chance to showcase your talent and make a mark. The court is set. Are you ready? Register now.
Presenting sponsor, Srinidhi University. Kindle the light within. Venue partner, Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy, Hyderabad.
And that's our next story. Trouble mounts for Muka Stalin's government in the Tasmac raids case. In what can be viewed as a major setback for Stalin's government, the Madras High Court today upheld the legality of the ED raids which were conducted, on 6 to 8 March in the headquarters of the Tamil Nadu State Marketing Corporation or Tasmac. The petitions filed by the state government and Tasmac, which had sought to declare the raids illegal, were dismissed by the court. What is more, the High Court permitted the ED to continue the investigation under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act or PMLA. A division bench dismissed the pleas, rejecting the argument that the searches were politically motivated. And this is what they said. Whether a court can go and examine if political forces are at play or be a partaker in the political game? Definitely not. This is not the duty of the court of law. The 8C bench underlined that the judiciary's role was to examine evidence and apply the law, irrespective of the political context. One of the judges said, and I quote the Honourable Judge here, "Courts are not the place to decide political matters. What matters most is the will of the people." The Tamil Nadu government and Tasmac had urged the court to declare the ED's raids as unlawful, accusing the agency of harassment and alleging that the operation was politically driven. Both the parties claim that employees of Tasmac were detained for over 60 hours under the pretext of search and interrogation. The bench refused to accept that inconvenience which was caused to a few Tasmac employees was more important than the larger public interest in enforcing economic justice. The court said the offences of money laundering is a crime against the people of the nation. A few inconveniences, when equated against economic justice, legislation such as PMLA serve this purpose. The case, of course, pertains to allegations of large-scale financial irregularities in Tasmac, including overpricing of liquor bottles, manipulation in tenders, bribery, which apparently cost the exchequer losses of over 1,000 crores. The ED based its investigation on around 45 FIRs, don't forget, registered by Tasmac and Tamil Nadu government over several years. This is, of course, the usual debate of how central agencies are allegedly more political driven than anything else. But then, what is the way out now as DMK faces the embarrassment and we are getting into elections? Satish Kumar, senior advocate at the Madras High Court, is joining us on this broadcast. Hello Satish, nice to have you on the show.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Tell me something, you know, what the court said. So, the question which is there in the minds of people is, can the ED, does it have the legal right to enter any outfit, you know, the premises of any outfit, if there have been FIRs registered under the PMLA? I mean, does it have the express permission to do so?
Good evening, sir. Actually, the judgment was really a slap on the face of the Tamil Nadu government and also on the Tasmac. That's what I personally feel. Because the argument put forth by the Tasmac saying that it is a political vendetta, and it is highly surprising and shocking. If that such an argument is made by the Tamil Nadu government, it can be accepted to some extent because the government can talk like that. But a Tasmac, being a government outfit, cannot talk about the politics. That was very well observed by the Honorable High Court, and it says very clearly, and the harassment on part of the employees a few inconvenience cannot be equated against the economic rights of the people. That was the observation given by Honorable High Court in this matter. So when you, as a public servant, you are bound to you are bound to accept the inquiry in case any investigation is conducted. It is your bounden duty to cooperate and coordinate with the officers.
I understand that. That's what the court said, Satish. But the thing is that Tasmac and Tamil Nadu government felt that it was not legal, the search and seize operations. It is illegal. On what basis do they say it's illegal, sir? Because they didn't know about it?
Exactly.
Were they surprised?
Yes. The argument placed by the petitioners, that is Tamil Nadu government and Tasmac, saying that it is illegal because the procedure, if you see even the petition, the affidavit, they say the ED has got every right to conduct the investigation, but they were talking only about their allegation is only against the procedure in what way it was conducted. Now, the court has stated very clearly, you cannot say that the inconvenience of the staffs will be a reason for not to conduct the inquiry. So this is a very clear observation. When you are a public servant,
yes,
when you are working for an organization, you are bound to suffer certain things in the interest of the general public.
Yes, the larger interest of the people, like the court said, and I completely agree, because that's the kernel of a democracy. This is not a monarchy or anarchy, this is a democracy. Satish, but what about the people in Tasmac? If I am an employee of Tasmac, I am only following my boss's instructions. To detain them for over 60 hours, the court said, well, a few Tasmac employees may have been inconvenienced. But again, if there has to be search, we have to go to the bottom of the case, then it has to be done. Yet again, a slap.
It is an other way around. In the other way, you have to see. It is the bounden duty of every employee, not only to the boss, to your country as a whole, to the state as a whole, and also for the rest of the people as a whole. Don't say that they are answerable only to their boss for their salary. The salary is given from the tax paid by the common man. So they are also responsible for the rest of the country as a whole. Why you say that they are responsible only to their boss? See, every day, even if you go to the private sector, how people are working on every day. You see how the police cops are working every day on the road. And you say, you take the case of an army. Can you say that now, even in Pahalgam, now we are seeing, can you say that army can work only for 8 hours?
Right.
Every citizen in this country has got their own duty towards our country as a whole. That duty differs from person to person. Because of inconvenience, harassment is different, inconvenience difference.
Right.
The argument placed by the petitioner, Tamil Nadu government, they said harassment, but the court said it is just an inconvenience.
All right.
It's a huge difference.
Satish, the government also says, the petitioners also say that, the ED should not be allowed, given the right for search and seize operations, unless the state government gives them a nod to say, go ahead. Don't you think the ED has the rights in the legal terms?
On the legal perspective, ED has got every right to enter, even that is duly admitted. It is duly admitted by the Tamil Nadu government and Tasmac also. Their only contention is about the procedures. So the rights of the duty is not at all questioned. The ED has got every right. That is what clearly, even when the question of federalism was raised as one of the contention by the Tamil Nadu government, the High Court has very clearly observed that the federalism cannot be invoked to prevent investigation into crime against nation, not against Tasmac or Tamil Nadu government. It said against a nation. So that is the observation given by the Honorable High Court in this case. So, and that's one more observation and finding. It is a clear cut, even to some extent, I would say, rather than an advice, it is a warning like is given to the Tamil Nadu government that the Tamil Nadu on mission to defeat the very core of PMLA Act itself. That is the observation given by Tamil Nadu, by the Honorable High Court of Madras. So this observation, I feel, is clearly a slap on the face of Tamil Nadu government and also on the face of Tasmac. Absolutely no doubt. And Sudha, as you know very well, we the people of Tamil Nadu here, even a small kid knows what is the corruption going in Tasmac. The huge, more than 1,000 crores. I think the ED has given a lesser figure. That's what we would say. Every day, every day 10 rupees per bottle.
Per bottle, yes.
And it is a known fact. It is a known fact which you cannot suppress at any point
No,
of time.
but considering you're an advocate, you will say that everyone is innocent unless proven guilty. I think whether it's a known fact or unknown fact, I think the courts have to now investigate.
I'm not denying that. I am not denying that. But at the same time, it is a duty of everyone to give their do their public duty not only to their office but also to the nation and so on.
All right.
That is to be accepted.
On that note, Satish Kumar, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Thank you indeed.
Thank you so much.
Our next story is very poignant indeed. Disabled protesters have been detained. These are people with special needs and they were detained in Chennai. It is so ironical. Even as Tamil Nadu Deputy Chief Minister Udayanidhi Stalin announced that a minimum of 25 jobs will be earmarked for sportsperson with special needs out of 100 which have been allocated in government services and public sector undertaking. Members of Tamil Nadu Association for the Rights of Differently Abled and Caregivers, the acronym for which is TARADAC, were allegedly manhandled and definitely restrained by the police while protesting on Tuesday. The protesters had planned to march from Yelagam to Fort St. George but were thwarted by the police and detained. Nearly 200 protesters were detained. TARADAC were raising their voice, urging the state to increase the monetary aid for the differently abled and also alter the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act or Manrega scheme as per needs. TARADAC said that the monetary aid provided by the Tamil Nadu government is minuscule and not at all comparable to the demands of today's economy of the differently abled persons in Tamil Nadu. The organization said, and I am quoting, like Andhra Pradesh, we request the Tamil Nadu government to provide monetary aid of 15,000 rupees with 100% disability, followed by 10,000 rupees for those with 50% disability and 6,000 for those with disability below 50 to 40%. So far as Manrega scheme is concerned, until 2024, there was a provision that differently abled persons could work for 4 hours under the scheme to get full payment. However, TARADAC members claim that this particular rule was amended by the DMK government and 4 hours became 8. Even as elections are on the anvil in Tamil Nadu, isn't this a red herring for the DMK government? Let me now go across to Smita Sadasivan, member Disability Rights Alliance Tamil Nadu. Smita, thank you so much for making the time. I started this conversation by saying